Okay, hello again. This is the part two of how to apply to a grad school in the US as an international student. So I forgot, but in the last video we mentioned that after discussing the requirements, I would tell you about myself, how I applied to grad school, and am I an international student? Well, I'm not an international student. When I was applying to grad schools, I was a permanent resident, and I applied to grad schools. I graduated from my undergrad in 2020 of December of 2020, and I started applying in the August 2020. Um, and then I started in in August 2021. Yes. And my degree was in electrical engineering, and my bachelor's was in electrical. And then I was applying for any related fields. Like I was really interested in robotics in space. So a lot of that stuff. But then I came across one research that was about optics. I was really interested in optics and science, earth and space science. I applied to that as well. But when it said like which degree to apply for, it was mostly like aerospace engineering. Excuse me. So yeah, that's it. And then I applied to I think 8 grad schools, and I got into I think 2 or 3, not too sure, but yeah. So let's go back to where I was. And sorry guys, this is Zoom, and I don't have much time to like edit the video, so this is gonna be raw. Like this is just gonna be recorded and post to YouTube. So there's no editing in this video. So I was going over like the list of what schools to apply to, like how to know what school to apply to. So we discussed a couple of things like what to keep in mind while applying to school. Research matters the most. Ranking can matter. The location, cost of living, acceptance rate, availability of funds. Those are the major things we discussed. Um, yeah, so this is economics list, like what are the best schools, and then this doesn't tell you the acceptance rate or anything. Like it can if you go to like individual of each individual school, I think, and it also gives you more information like in state, out of state. So every international student is considered out of state, obviously, so their tuition is going to be more. And but I suggest doing Google instead of US News. When I was applying to, I looked at the US News ranking because I forgot about the Google. So yeah, this website is a great source for uh, so this website shows all the economics schools in the US, and you can look at the location. Does it provide a PhD program? Yes. Terminal masters? Yes. Arizona State does not have masters. So if you're an economics major, this might be a good website to look at the list of the US grad school programs. And then you can look up individual schools, their acceptance rate and everything to look up their ranking and everything, and then decide what school to go to. And then we looked at the NASA grants. This is for engineering, sciences, if you're majoring in that. These are the list of schools. You can look at individual schools and see which one has the most funding, acceptance rates, etc. But these are just like additional if you want to do more research. You're more than welcome to look at these websites. But again, the only resource that I would suggest is the Google search for looking at the acceptance rate and universities. Once you know what university you want to go to, how do I say this? Okay, so depending on your research, if your research interests, let's say you have a research interest that does not match with any of these universities. Let's say that university, your dream school, is not listed here at all. It's okay. It's fine to not go to a top school if your research is like not matching anywhere. You wouldn't be a good fit, I would say. So let's say you decide which school you want to go to, like not go to, but like you shortlisted, let's say 40 or 50 schools from this list, depending on acceptance rate and their rankings. And now you like out of those 40 universities, you can do individual search. You can go to each university's website, or what was the other thing I gotta say? I forgot, but yeah, you're gonna go to each university's individual website, or you don't have to go to the website. You can just type in the university name. Let's say Kansas State Universities. I'm just giving a random example. So you can quickly look at this information right here. They have notable alumni, so it's a good university. But is it good for your program? You can look up electrical engineering, let's say school. Yeah, this is their school website, so you can read through it. Whatever information you need, you can look at the faculty, graduate students, scholarships available, or you can just directly type in you can type in financial aid, faculty, graduate school, requirements. So what we're going to do is look at the requirements for some of these universities. So I typed in Iowa State University Graduate School International Students. So requirements do slightly matter, like they're different for international students. Like English test is required for international, but not just the regular students. So you're going to go to their website, then you're going to look at the deadlines. That's something to take note of. So I would say most, not all, like 90% of universities, if you are applying, if you want to start at that universities for, let's say, a master's or PhD program in fall of 2022, you would have to apply in fall of 2021 because the deadline is December of 2021. That's how most universities are. Some have early deadlines like in October, but most are in December, but there are some in October. So you're gonna apply a year before that starting date. So most universities only take fall students, as far as I know. When I was looking for schools, for like applying to schools for my grad school, only 1 out of 8 schools had application available for spring semester, but but everybody else was like fall semester. So you're gonna apply for fall semester. Let's say you can look at the deadlines, the exact deadlines. Typically there is a list, and so universities, like the university name, like Kansas State Universities. Then each university has a college of business, college of science, college of engineering, arts. So each college has a different deadline to apply to as well. Most of them are the same, but some of them are different. And each college has a different GPA requirement as well. College of Engineering at MIT might have like a 3.5 GPA requirement, and then College of Arts may have like a 3.3. So that's something to take note of. So that's why I'm saying those requirements do differ by college, by university, and then by your status, like are you international or not. So yeah, that's why you have to look at the individual university's website. So yeah, these are like the general, it should list all the requirements here somewhere. So yeah, these are the things required. They have like a processing fee, $100. Okay, I never paid. Oh, the processing fee might be more for international students. I don't know exactly, but mine was usually like $75. So if you're rich, you can apply to even 17 schools. I know people who have applied to 17 schools. And if you do not have that much like budget, you can apply to 2 minimum schools. But as an international student, I would be scared to apply to only 2 schools. Just saying. But you never know if you get in or not. So also you need to have a safe school. Safe school is a school that has a very high acceptance rate, higher like 95%. And safe school is something that is your last option. Like you have your dream school, your 1 to 3 schools that you want to get into, and then you have your safe school. That's like 4 schools, $400. So that's a lot of money. There were waivers like this one, fee waivers only offer to be okay. So each school has a fee waiver for like special requirements. So I know Harvard asked if you were a Pell Grant recipient, but that's for non-international students. So I don't know if there are fee waivers available for international students. Again, that depends on the university. So you would have to look at the universities. And fee waivers is just that you don't have to pay for the fee. And then completing the application, that's your basic information, name, address, everything. So you can read through that. And then examination requirement, again, you're required to have IELTS with a 6.5 score, or I have not read through this, so I shouldn't talk more about that. So you can just go to individual requirements and see what's required. Yeah, so that's that. And then once you're ready, you can hit apply, and you don't have to complete your application in one sitting. You can save and exit, and then it's just like your email login and name information, and then you can log back in to complete the application. Another thing is that when you're applying to schools, like, okay, so you shortlisted 40 schools from this list. Let's say like the list you found here. Where did it go? Okay, this list. Now let's say you got those 40 schools. Now you can look at, now your research interest matters, right? So you need to look at each school and see if, so you know that you like, let's say, magnetism. You're going to go to that school. You're going to, if you are doing physics, you can write physics focus areas and see if magnetism exists. If it does, great. You can read about it, read which professors work with that field, read about their research, what they've done in the past, read about the current students. That's a lot of information to read, I know, but it is what it is. You have to do your research when you're applying to schools. It took a lot of time for me when I was applying. Like, even if I'm non-international, I spent like about 4 hours every day for like a month or so. So it's a lot of research you have to do, reading about each faculty and their research, and shortlist those interests as well. So for example, let's say you chose University of Texas, San Antonio. That's my undergrad degree, fun fact. I did electrical engineering, and then faculty. You want to look, so out of those 40 schools, you have, you're going to look at faculty and focus areas. So this is the first website that came up. Am I running out of time again? This is going to be so long. Okay. You can click on each faculty, look at their research. Let's just randomly do this. Each faculty has their publications listed, educational background, interests, and what they teach. So if you're interested in biomedical signal processing, great, you found a professor that you're interested in working with. Like, not exactly, but like vaguely. So some of the professors, or I should say most of the professors, have their personal website listed on the school website, and they have a lot of information about their research listed there. So you can click through, read through, look up the research papers on this website I showed you, and then see if that's something you would want to do for 6 years or not. You're not going to do the same thing. It's just like related. Something, you have to find something, a professor that's doing interest that's related to your interest, doing research that's related to your interest. So yeah. And not every school has, like, so let's say my school, there was one professor who was doing nuclear engineering research in the electrical engineering department. And since they don't have nuclear engineering program, it was under electrical engineering. So if your interests are in something that is not common, like nuclear engineering, or let's say astronomy wasn't that common in my school, then you can look at individual professors, look up which professor does this research. So yeah, that's that. I was going to show you something else as well. Other than faculty, you can look up the focus areas, which might be much easier than faculty, like clicking through each faculty. So you can just Google focus areas for that school. And then this focus area, these are the focus areas, like sub areas under that major area. So this can tell you if you're interested in electrical circuits, you can look up a professor who does, so like in each focus areas, there's faculty listed down under the focus area on most websites. So you can look at that. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, I think I said everything. Well, I have some key points that I do not absolutely want to miss. So let's say out of those 40 schools, you look up to the 40 focus areas and the professors that you would want, and you're sure that you want to work with this professor no matter what. Next thing you're gonna do is email the professor. If you're not sure, and you still have like 10 professors, 15 professors, you're gonna email every professor. Actually, you know what? You should narrow it down to one at this point, because most of the professors are not going to reply you back, because your email is coming from another country, from a name they do not recognize, so it's probably going to go into spam. So if you have a university email, that's great. If you have a Gmail, there are chances they're going to go in spam, and you'll never connect to that professor. You can still apply to the university without being in connection with the professor, but that lowers down your chances of getting into the university, but it doesn't zero it out. I didn't even connect to one professor when I was applying to universities. Okay, so one thing you're going to do is email the professor, connect to him, tell him that you're really interested in his research, you've read these blah 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 research papers, and this is something you would want to do in the future. If your resume is great, you can attach it to the email. If it's not, do not attach it. Then you're gonna show your interest in the research. That's the most important thing. That's the thing that's going to get you into the program. In grad school, it's not very much dependent on the university to admit you, but mostly on the professor. If he's willing to take you in as his PhD student, only then the university. So there's an acceptance from the university that you met all the requirements, and they decide to select you. And then there's acceptance for the school. So remember I told you School of Engineering, the sciences, whatever. And school acceptance depends on a professor. If they're willing to take you in, only then will the school accept you. That's how it is in most cases. It might be different in some schools. Then we talked about letter of recommendation. Ask from professor you have good relations with. Then you're gonna, where is it? Most professors, yeah, we talked about that. Okay, in the end, we got it. Okay, so if in the end, if you, let's say, got into two schools in your top two schools, and you're confused what school to go to, you're gonna do a ton of research, spend a lot of time, because now you have a choice, right? So you're gonna look at, first thing, financial aid. Where is financial aid guaranteed? I know a person who got into Stanford, great school, but he didn't get any financial aid, so he did not pick that because he wouldn't get loans or anything. For international students, we didn't talk about funding. Let's talk about that real quick. So there's three major types of funding. One option is to pay out of pocket, which you absolutely do not want to do, because nobody has that much money to pay for his school. Second option is to RAs and TAs, research assistantships and teaching assistantships. For most master students, teaching assistantship is available in most schools. Again, you would have to go to the university website, look up the program, and if they provide TAs or RAs. If you do not find that information, contact the school. The school will reply you, but it would probably take a month or so. And then RAs and TAs. RAs are mostly for PhD students. So yeah, and then if you have found your advisor, research advisor is a professor you want to work under as a PhD student, that is going to support you through doing your research. So they'll give you stipend for a month. Each month you'll have a stipend and your tuition will be covered. That's how it is for RAs and TAs. And that's how all graduate students live off of, mostly RAs and TAs. Then I would say 50% are RAs and TAs. Then there's 40% who are working part-time, especially if they're master's students. You can work part-time as a PhD student as well, but they say it's not recommended because you have a lot of pressure of doing research, and especially if your work is not related to the research, your time is just being sucked up into a job that is not helping you with research. So a lot of master's students do part-time, but as an international student, I would say that your chances of getting a job are very minimum, because most jobs only hire people who have some, I don't know about how these passport things work, but I don't know any international student who's working part-time. Then yeah, so these are your three options. The best option is of course TAs. So look for universities who provide funding for TAs and RAs, and that's about it. I think I went 20 minutes. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it.